Hello and welcome to another episode of Oh Yes You Can, the podcast that tells the stories of those who are living life on their terms, who are breaking down barriers and who are doing things that they were told that maybe they couldn't do. Today I'm here with Fern Roberts, who is an ex-project manager turned property owner. Hello, welcome. Just first of all, if you could just tell us a little bit about your business, what it's called and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my brand is Alexandra Fern Property, and what better brand than to have it as yourself? It took me a while to actually even get to that point. So I started in property investment in 2018, 19, and I'm now in the Airbnb market because I like the fastness pace of it and to start off on buy-to-let. So I'm quite open to doing lots of different things in property, but I just like the industry because it's different.
Nice. And that wasn't always what you did. So pre-2018, just talk to me a bit about your career, what you did before that.
So obviously we met at Thomas Cook. I don't even know what year that was.
2014, maybe?
And then I left Thomas Cook in 2015. So I was in e-commerce, which I loved, but I've been at the company for 13 years. So I'd absolutely just had enough. And the environment wasn't great, but it was kind of one of those. I was very poorly, and it was a bit of a life-changing moment that if you don't change something now, nothing will. So yeah, and then I just had an opportunity land on my lap, and I was terrified. And then I went off to be a contract project manager. No idea what I was doing. Obviously, it was like project management in e-commerce anyway. But I went to work in a bank, which was so changing career methodologies of project management and also like industry. It was pretty tough, but I just sort of learned to put, like, I just imagine in my head, horse blinkers, do that and just get on and do it. Literally changed my life. And then I think 4 years went by in a whirlwind. So that was 2015. And yeah, I stopped contracting regularly in 2019. I do the odd one every now and again. I've got like a team I tend to do work with. And I enjoyed it, but it's very intense. And I'm just at that age, I want a family. I couldn't continue living away. And it was like, right, what else could I do that's going to light me up? And property is really just project management, but just a different product. So yeah, I somehow fell into listening to a webinar about Brexit. And I had no idea how I got there, but I did. And then that was it, really. And I just kind of knew I wanted something a bit different and sustainable. My parents did property as well years ago. So I probably got it from there. Yeah, I think so. Like, unintentionally, I bought my house at 22 and I always knew that would be a rental property one day. So I think it started early. I just hadn't caught up with the idea yet.
And I'm always interested, you touched upon it a bit, but I'm always interested in the catalyst when people make such a big change in their career. And you talk a bit about being quite poorly. So just talk a bit about the moment where you went, that's it, I'm done. I know I want to move into something else.
Yeah, so I've had Crohn's disease since I was probably 14, but I was diagnosed at 18. But at that point, it was an old person's disease, which now they know really different. So I've grown up, never been the well child. And it was okay. I was defiant in my 20s, but you carry on partying, living life and, eating what you shouldn't. Then, so I was really poorly. So my 30th was on the 7th of Jan. I then went to Dublin, most wild weekend I've ever had in my life. Still now, I can't get over it. So I then just thought I'd partied too hard and I was really poorly for a period of 6 weeks, just so run down. Turns out I actually had sepsis from a procedure done at the hospital. So I had a colonoscopy, which is part of when you have Crohn's, you have to have checkups. They perforated my bowel, but because I was fit and healthy, I then had it for 6 weeks and didn't know. Collapsed at my friend's house. Luckily, she was a nurse that used to work on that ward. And I think 3 o'clock in the morning, I rang my mum in Cyprus and I was like, Mum, do you get like trapped wind in this place? I just had a real acute point of pain. But up until then, I never had anything. It was just January cold run-downness. That was all the symptoms I had. No fevers, nothing, just a bit off. And one night in February, went to the pub, didn't drink my Prosecco, couldn't eat. And you think, it's a bit weird because I love my food. But I rang my mum, and then 2 hours later I rang her again. She's like, get your friend up. And then she did my bloods and I just got this like white mist of so severe pain. And then I was in that hospital because they couldn't find anything wrong with me. They nearly took me for surgery for they assumed it was appendix, but it was slightly the wrong side. And they looked at me and said, "You're too well. You're not. You're really coherent. We can't figure it out." Anyway, I was in hospital for 9 days, going in and out. And I'd figured it out myself, but without being told. So I think I had my colonoscopy on like the 15th of Jan. And one of the surgeons, just before they released me after the 9 days, he said, "Do you actually know what's happened to you?" I'm like, "Oh, I figured it out, but I'm not, no one's told me." Because everyone said, "Oh, it just happens with Crohn's." It doesn't. Things can happen, but my intuition told me that it wasn't my lifestyle that caused it. And he said, "If you weren't so fit and healthy, you'd be dead," which still kind of, for years, I just ignored that and carried on. But now it makes me a bit like my eyes are stinging a little bit now, but it's quite emotional. And I was defiant. And luckily my brother lived with me at that point, so he really took care of me. My best friends looked after me. And I struggled for the rest of that year because my immune system was completely shot. I had like 16 viral infections. Even now, if I overtrain, if I do too much, if I get like a warning sign, I get my glands flare, and it's my body's sign of saying, "We're exhausted, you've got to stop." And then I have to have like rest days for a few days. My Crohn's is actually really well. So that kind of changed my life. Eating, I have green smoothies most days. And from there, it's just been a bit of a journey to figure out, right, what is it that makes me well and not well? And I think it might have been in September, October, my friend, who she's been a consultant for years, I knew her from the pub. She saw something in me that I didn't see, and she did a really good job saying, "Oh, if you want kids, but you want time off," and kind of pitching the idea. I was like, "Oh no, I'm a permanent employee. I've got the need to stay here. I need to know when I'm getting paid." And anyway, she did a really good job on me. I said, "Oh, when's the interview?" She's like, "Brilliant, you've just had it. Well done. You start next week." I thought, oh. So then I got sabbatical from work. So I was still quite poorly at this point. And like I was in floods of tears for days. And I was like, "Mum, how can I live my life like this?" My work's coming from home for a long period of time. And we went on holiday, but I then caught cold on holiday from the flight, as you do. And it was just, I was so ill the whole time. And I was like, how can I go off and work up north? Because the contract was in Liverpool. How can I go and do that when I'm not well? And at some point, I don't remember having the thought, but I just went, "I'm doing it." This is where the whole blinker thing came in. And I've used that ever since, actually, to sort of stop myself thinking and just doing. And I worked from home a lot anyway, so it was fine. So you only have to be in the office 1-2 days a week, but it was the getting out I needed. And yeah, it literally changed my life. And then 4 years went past in a bit of a blink. I was exhausted. I was fine though, because I was eating well. I stayed in like apart hotels. I was then going to the gym, and I think it was like step-by-step recovery. So I kind of know now when I am not well and I need to...
Yeah, and you listen to yourself more.
Yeah, well, I've had like food intolerance, the amount of like health stuff I've done for myself. None of this has been done by the hospital. I've had to figure it all out on my own. They just keep wanting to put you on meds. I was on an anti-cancer drug at one point, couldn't get life insurance. So I had to fight with them to come off it. And their attitude was, "Oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it." But I'm intolerant to milk, and it had milk on the coating. I'm like, it doesn't work. So I'd be in like board meetings and your tummy would start making, and it was, I had to fight with them. And luckily when I spoke to the nurses, they actually sorted it out. And so they put me on a really low med, which I'm still on. My goal is to come off. I don't want to be on anything. So now I take like lots of herbal things, and it's kind of trial and error, but I'm really open to trying stuff to get me well. CBD has literally changed my life for the anti-inflammatory element of it. So yeah, it's, oh God, when was that? So that was 2015. And it's been a bit of a long time to get there, but I feel really well. I have days where I'm knackered. But that's why I run my own business, because I can then, if I need a day off or I don't
do it
want
on
to
your
work in the morning-
terms.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of, I don't know, things just sort of fall into your lap at the right time, I guess.
I mean, that sounds like such a life-changing experience. And you talk in there a bit about, the difference between being on a permanent salary and not knowing when you're going to get paid. How do you deal with that as a business owner? Is that something that still scares you? Is that something that you get over and just get used to? For people who are thinking about whether it's because of their health or just because they want to work for themselves, what advice could you give them about that and how it feels?
Yeah, it is a hard transition. So when I went contracting, it's not a salary, but you earn a phenomenal amount of money because of the pressure you're under to do it and deliver and the hours you work. So I kind of went oh God, I don't even know how many more. It was a huge amount of money more, to the point I was like, oh my God, I could just buy everything. I went on some amazing holidays. I always had a horse. I did a hiking and camping tour around Canada. Oh my God, it was the most incredible trip of my life. I'd love to go back. And then did New York, and because one of my best friends looked after me when I was poorly, I took them on like trips. So one was really V-Fest, because that was like the kind of thing we like. The other one I took to New York, and Sri Lanka and Maldives. I've then been to Bali, obviously Cyprus a lot, seeing my mum and dad. But yeah, so I went wild because I had a horse and a dog for years, and I just then all of a sudden had this freedom, and I had a mortgage at 22, so I'd never had that go off and do something. I didn't go to uni or college or anything, so that was my, wow, I'm going to live life and see like what's going on. But so I kind of earned really well for years, and it was the pandemic. The last project I did was regulatory breaches. Not nice. It was absolutely horrific. I cried most days. It was such an emotional, like it really broke me. And I think at one point, 3 of us on the team probably had like 30 breaches each, and it just every day there was, because we were not the technical, it's usually technical failures that happen. We were the project managers that would then talk to the business and that to get each team to then fix it, to do the remediation. And they kept coming and coming and coming. And towards the end of the contract, I was like, I just can't do it. And then the pandemic happened. And I thought, this is a really good time to just stop. I'm going to actually enjoy time off. You always say as a contractor, you're going to have 3 months off. You never do. When it's, yeah, exactly. And you roll on from one to the other. When it's forced time off because there's no project to go on to next, you're like, oh God, I didn't plan for this. But then you always plan for the ones you're going to plan yourself, but you never do. Yeah. So then I guess it was a good time to learn how to not spend so much money in the pandemic, although Amazon did so well out of everyone, didn't they? But it kind of, then I just decided I didn't really want to go back. My body was like, no, the anxiety I felt with it. So I kind of knew it wasn't my path, but then the money's always great to have. Someone asked me if I wanted to do a contract this week. I thought, probably could for a quick 3 months. But it's harder. So with Airbnbs, I launched so I had them the year before, but they were managed. So I had then consistent income, but it was smaller. They were already small apartments. I then swapped them onto a bigger one. So this summer I've then had a massive amount. I thought, oh, this is what it's about. This is great. Come winter, because mine are slightly more seasonal areas, it's then dropped off. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's ride the wave. But I've had big contractors that approach me saying, I want to do what you're doing. So then I'm coaching on the side. Amazing. And for me, it's about multiple income streams. I guess from a risk perspective, I can do lots. And I enjoy doing lots of different things. I get really bored just doing one thing. I get really, probably a bit narky if I'm just doing like moody. So I've learned, for me, I have to do lots of things. So I'm doing some digital marketing stuff, like creating my own products for Airbnb. I've got the coaching. I then do the old contract every now and again. And I'm about to create a new course on like how I've gone from being so poorly to being well with Crohn's. I'm just about to start writing that. So because that's a fulfillment thing. And I hadn't even realised, someone said to me in summer, why aren't you helping people? I thought, oh, I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
But what a story to be able to share that.
Because I've actually been through it. And I mean, to be honest, it's pretty simple. Just you got to sort your diet out. That is the biggest thing. There's people actually in this space that I want to work with because they're off medication. Yeah. And I've only just come across them. So I'm still open to learning all the time. But yeah, even if you just help a couple of people, but for me, that'll give me the passive income. You build the course. So I'm kind of going in that direction. I'd rather just I want an easy life. I want to, post stuff on social media and promote whatever it is, or like just build the brand. And so my brand will then be health has always been the thing, but I didn't know what it was until this year. And like Airbnb and property, and for me, it's all the same badge. I'll still buy buy-to-lets and do whatever I fancy, to be honest. I've got no rigid plan for I have to do X, Y, and Z.
And that, I mean, that's quite brave in itself. And not everybody, I guess, could be that, I guess, flexible in their lives. Like, do you have any advice that you would give to people who were thinking, I know I want to go and do something. I know I don't want to be stuck in the corporate 9 to 5, which is something that you escaped partly through health and partly through being brave. What advice would you give somebody who's thinking about doing that, regardless of whether it's going into property or something else? Do you think just go for it? Do you think plan?
You can get to a point where you just plan and plan and plan, but if you don't take action, and I guess being a project manager, you implement, and that's, I think I found it easier to just go, right, I know what I'm doing. This is the bit that I actually coach my clients on, because you can learn all the Airbnb stuff online. You can piece the puzzle together, but most people learn it but don't do anything about it. So for me, it's like, we've got a plan, I will kick your butt. I go into project manager mode. So for me, it's just another project, and but it's actually getting them to do the doing. So you have to be, I guess, you probably have to accept that at some point you've got to push the button, but do it on the side of what you're doing is probably the best bit. Mine was obviously it was just an opportunity and I took it, but I still did property on the side of contracting. So my job, in theory.
With your success from property and Airbnb, you've gone into coaching space. So just talk a little bit about what you do and how you help other people move into that space.
So for me, I really enjoy the coaching. I didn't want to do it for a long time because I thought, oh, you have to be this multi-millionaire, you have to do this. But I think it's more working with the people that you resonate with. So I am selective on clients. I don't have a big number. 4 to 5 is probably all I coach, because I want to, the bit that people miss out on is implementation, which is what then my background is, doing, like getting shit done, basically. And I was thinking, can I swear then? Like actually just doing it. And so a lot of the coaching you get, or mentoring, whichever term you want to use, it's the theory, but you have to then go figure out how to do it. I guess because I could just go and do it knowing, right, what's the plan? Off you go. Whereas a lot of people then waste a lot of money, just spend doing the training and don't do anything with it. So for me, I particularly work with consultants, project managers, because that's my background, business owners who have then got a pot of cash that they want to invest. So it's about making your money multiply and making your own like generational wealth, whatever it is. Do they want time freedom? Have they got an exit plan from contracting? Because you earn phenomenal money, but at some point it's going to stop and then your money completely stops. Yeah, so actually set it up on the side of what you're doing now, and for me, have 1 or 2 at a time and then build it. I'm not into helping people launch 10 properties. It's not what I want to do. I don't want any more than 7 Airbnbs. That's more than enough. I've just given 1 back, so I've got 3 now. I'm looking at a couple of projects for next year. I'd quite like to do a big experience Airbnb. So South Wales is one of my areas. I'd want to do it near the Brecon Beacons, but have like the copper bath, the hot tub, the lights, the outside. So it'll be a really big project, because also that's diversifying your income within the same model, which is really important. And you have less occupancy, but you charge much higher rates. So it works out really well than having your, standard like turnovers at 2-3 nights. So for me, it's about having the mix and just leveling where the income comes from and not being so reliant. So for me, the people that I coach are, like I said, people that have been in my position that actually want to get on and get stuff done. So it's a 90-day program, and you can learn it all. You can implement it all by that point. The hardest bit is finding the right project. So I've had some clients that only want to have a property in one certain area. Well, that means there's deals going on everywhere else, but not that area. So yeah, I enjoy it, but I have to gel with the person as well. So I won't take on everybody, and they get all of my tools, basically everything that I still use. The interior design is really bloody hard in Airbnb, because you can look at what's in the market and think, oh God, how do I make it different? For me, it's about, but like this kind of colour would be, this sort of setup would be perfect for what I would want. And like throwing in zebra, I like to be bold. Yeah. So but my own home isn't necessarily bold, but it's about creating an experience that people don't get at home. That's what the people then tend to buy. And I've seen some wild Airbnbs and they do phenomenally. So I'm going to work with an interior designer as well. So everything I learn, I then help my clients implement as well.
And are you self-taught generally? So this toolkit that you've got that you share with other people, where does that come from? Is that self-taught?
My friend, actually, I always wanted to do Airbnb and I was going to do it in 2020, but obviously what happened and I went, it's not the right time. So I'll keep doing. I did my Vitalect project, which was in Wales. I've just converted that this year into an Airbnb. And I understand that they didn't pay me for 6 months. And Airbnb is what I always wanted to do. But then I was trying to do the traditional route and be sensible. So at least I bought houses, but I kind of went, I didn't want to do that model anyway. And I've done more in the space of 6 months without having property mentoring because I've kind of done it. It's all about setting up the business side of it. My friend who's in Airbnb, he just said, this is what you need to do. I did that. And I'm like, right, what's next? So I've kind of guided, but on my own. And so I do feel like you learn more by doing it the hard way. And I have to do things by learning, even when I'm doing websites and stuff. And I'm like, I need to do it first before I outsource so I can then know what I've done and I can understand it. So I teach my clients that. So it's very hands-on, which is why I don't coach a lot of people because it's my time, essentially. And I've only got a certain amount of time and brain power to help get their problems. So, but I then pay for a consultant at the moment that we're optimizing my Airbnbs and to attract over winter longer term bookings because then it's consistent cash flow. And so that's a whole new model that I'm doing. But then I'll implement that. That's like a phase 2 thing on the Airbnb coaching. But so yeah, in 3 months, the idea is you get your first one set up and it might take 3 months to get one, but we can do all of the learning beforehand and then it's right. Because when you get the project, you've got to be quick. It's got to be live within 2 weeks. You don't renovate, you just, you'll stage something instead. So it's just like, I mean, I do renovations because I've got the experience of doing it, but yeah, it's about speed to market as well, because then you start getting the revenue coming in as well. So yeah, I help them with that and I quite enjoy it.
Do you think that anybody could go down the Airbnb route, or do you think you need some certain character traits, skills, etc., or could you take anybody who's currently in a role who wants to move into that space and help them set something up?
They have to have money is the criteria. You can do it and, do loans off other people and that kind of thing, which is how, I work with investors. So they fund the projects, so I then pay them interest. But that's not the model I'm teaching specifically. Some people can. It's not what I want to do because it's more about getting it done. Because the finding investment, it's a whole mindset thing to change. It's not difficult, but it's difficult to change your mindset. That takes a long time. Whereas I think the kind of entry level coaching or group trainings are good for that, to understand it. So yes, I guess anybody could do it, but you have to really want to do it because it's a challenging business. It's hospitality. It's not actually property. It's just in a property. Yeah. And you've got multiple guests all the time. Everybody wants something different. There's always criticism. There's always something that's not good for one guest, but it is for another. And the reviews, God, they could be so different in the same week. It's ridiculous. But you have to be able to, I guess, like have a bit of thick skin. But I outsource my guest communications now because I like doing other things. So I've got an amazing team who deal with it and they let me know when something's not right. I still manage my own, but I've got an amazing team around me that do it. So, I mean, yes, in theory, anybody could. Not people that I work with though, because I think I probably resonate with them better because I've been in the position where they are. When they say the project's really tough, I'm like, you have to make time. So, yes, anyone could do it. Not everyone can do it well. It's the same as everything, I guess. If you do one that's not great, it's going to put you off, so that it's a waste of money. So you'd have to really want to do it. For me, because I'm an agile project manager, I like the flexibility of it and I like creating different designs and that kind of thing. So that's where it suits me. But, people can be just more traditional, just want to buy to let and then happy with that. So it depends on their personality, I think, too. Yeah, and I trust my gut. I have to ask my intuition if they're the right fit because twice I've not particularly listened, and I thought,
And how, I mean, that's such an interesting concept to me in terms of trusting your gut and, you know, listening to your intuition. How do you tap into that? What are those signs that show you whether somebody is the right fit or they're not?
do you know what? I've taken a lot of time to learn. So I had energy healing over the last, when did I start? Last May. So I'd had therapy before. There's just stuff that happens to all of us. And I was very aware of what happened, but it didn't fix any internal dialogue. I kind of say get rid of the sludge that was inside. So it's still really affecting me. I guess because I got handed the contracting role. I didn't feel like I earned it. So then I kind of had that imposter syndrome for years. And it's taken, God, it's probably only this year that I went, no, actually, I wouldn't have been given it if I wasn't capable. So I kind of went through, I hate the word journey because I hear it so much, but it is a bit of a journey. I did energy healing more for relationships, actually, first than anything.
And what is energy healing? Just so
it's completely woo-woo. People, you either listen to it or not, but we're all made of energy, and it's about changing like your whole vibration, because everything vibrates. So scientifically, it's fact, which I really like. So I'm logically minded. So initially I was like, well, try therapy. I know what's wrong, but I still had it. So I was doing coaching with a different mentor at that point, and she said, you know, doing the whole affirmations thing, I was kind of doing them, but there's still the internal dialogue wasn't changing, or I was holding on to it. And she recommended me to my energy healer, Mina. If anyone wants her number, she is incredible.
little plug there.
Yeah, honestly, like the amount of people I send to that, and they're like, this is so good. So I'm actually doing another stint with her in January, because there's some things like I'm in a really good place in my life. Most things I just want to get quicker results on some certain things. So we kind of did work, and it's bizarre that she'll kind of just see something in someone and be like, take that out.
Wow.
She can see things. Like, people are gifted. Actually, I've learned that one of my gifts is my intuition, and I've heard it for years. I just didn't know. One thing I learned this year, my ego comes from up here, but when it's my intuition, it's like I get a word or just a yes or a no that comes up from my tummy. Wow. And it's like I've just then learned to start listening to that and honing it. It took me 6 to 8 months of doing the work with her to then go, oh, this is that. And it's just a bit of practice. But I couldn't even explain the differences between the two dialogues that are internal. Now I know it. I just feel it. And when I try to explain it to other people, I'm like, oh, it's just, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
Because if someone says something to me and your tummy goes, that's your intuition. It's just the slightest, even though you kind of your mind might go, yeah, that sounds really good internally. Yeah. Is it like maybe a bit of anxiety? It feels something like that. But also, you know, you can then get excitement. Anxiety and excitement are exactly the same emotion. So, yeah, it's taken me a long time. And now I ask my intuition most days, and I do daily because I'm not that much of a good student. But sometimes I just ask my intuition what I need to do today, because it's having the plan of, right, there's so much I need to do. Which hat do I want to wear? And I'll just sit with myself for a minute, be quiet. And then like I kind of do meditations. I'm not really into like meditating a lot. I listen to audio ones because it guides me through. But then they say when you switch off from work, it's probably more likely when you're going to get an answer to something. So I'll then go for a walk. I'll go to the gym. And all of a sudden, you get that's what I need to do. Oh, that's the person I need to speak to. That's your intuition coming out. But when you're trying to force it, you won't get like your answer. So I've then learned to like step back. And it's taken me a long time to get here. But yeah, so I used to have a lot of negative thoughts. And I kind of know how to clean them up from myself now when I do. And I don't really have them much anymore. But even 2-3 weeks ago, I had a period I had to text me, I was like, I can't figure this out because I'm getting yes and no's at exactly the same time. They feel like they're both coming from my intuition, because actually I was my head and my heart wanted two different things. And so it's, it's still a learning curve. But yeah, so I now use it. I was talking to a potential client yesterday, and he said, so are we a good fit? And I was like, and quickly I just had to go, did I feel any, I know I was quite thrown.
Were they a good fit?
Yeah, actually, because I didn't feel any like, there was no, I don't know how you even say it, like movement or, like sparkling water, you get a bubble that pops up. you can imagine this is just a sensation you get. So it's I utilize that most days, like dating, for example, was one I wish I used it on a lot sooner, because you always know. But then actually, when you do meet a good one, you're like, oh, everything's really calm. And I used to think that was boring, but I'm like, no, so I guess the more you try it, the more you experience it, the more you then learn. You're not just going to wake up one day and go, oh my God, I get it. I know how it works.
Tuning in and listening. And
for me, I think the anxiety feeling is the biggest thing. If you've got anxiety, that's your sign. What's the other scenario where you go, oh, I need to think about a certain person, and then you walk away from it and you're like, oh, da-da.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to give yourself that time to do things. And but yeah, I love it. Never used to be woo-woo, but I'm like, totally. But I'm not the most woo-woo person.
I think it's woo-woo. I think it's
from a scientific perspective, like the whole quantum physics and stuff. I mean, I used to love science anyway, so it was fascinating. And I do like other things, like I do if I get anxious about stuff, I do tapping. So it's like oh God, I'm going to do it now, aren't I? You do like different pressure. I follow someone on YouTube and do it, and then because I think they're acupuncture points, and it just moves the energy around your body. So if you've got your anxieties at 10, even if you get to a 9, that's progress. But most people are like, oh my God, it's only a 9. No, it's reframing your mind to say that's.
It sounds like you're in such a positive place.
And so I mean, everything. I'm kind of in the place I am now because I've done everything for myself. Because I kind of felt like I had nowhere to go if I don't try this and it doesn't work. It was like, and I actually said it to someone recently. It felt like my last resort. That's why I did it. But I don't think it was in the moment. It was a last resort moment. But when I reflect back, I just thought I just can't keep living like this. This is ridiculous. Because I'd always attract the same like type of relationships that were pretty toxic. But then everything has to change in you. Yeah, which is what it's all about. And you do the work on yourself, and kind of walk around now and I think, oh, I'm all right. We're fine. I mean, I've mostly got it. There's some things, actually, one of my friends said to me last night, she said, why are you doing more work? And I was like, because I want the results quicker. I can do it all on my own. I know I can. But for me, I want a certain income level from all of the different things that I'm going to be trying. And I need to not be overwhelmed. That's the thing that I need. I think when we caught up the other week, I was like, oh God, the overwhelm just sometimes comes out. And it's just, do you know, it's maintenance. I maintain, like you go to the gym to maintain most of the time, or it's, sometimes you just need it. I could probably be fine without it, but I'm like, no, there's just a few things that I want to.
Just your personality. It's just how you work.
Yeah.
We know from inviting you on this podcast that you don't like to get up early in the mornings, and that's one of the benefits of.
Just to clarify, I wake up early, just like my bed.
You just like to ease into your day, which is one of the benefits of working for yourself, right? You can do that. You don't have to be up and ready when somebody else tells you to. So, what are some of the best things about working for yourself and owning a business?
Do you know what? So I got a Simba mattress. Oh my God. It has changed my life. I've had so many 8-hour sleeps. It's ridiculous. And I wake up now, I get my cup of tea, I go back to bed. But then I do my meditation, I do my alignment. I then will do my social media stuff in the morning. And so I sort of work. But my dog's getting old and we just like a little snuggle. You know, he's in his own bed, he's not on my bed. But he gets back into bed after his breakfast and it's actually peaceful. It's relaxing. I'll listen to something on YouTube and I can't even explain how nice it is to not have to rush and be in a meeting at 9. I tend to start work at 11. Some days I'll do earlier. When I get back from holiday, I'm like, whoa, all firing on all cylinders. I sometimes get up and work at 7:30, but I haven't washed my face. I haven't had a shower, just chuck clothes on. Because when I'm in flow and in the moment, I'll get up and do it. But on a daily basis, my brain works better in the afternoon. I think, I don't know when it started, but probably a Thomas Cook actually. I used to go in, you used to have a cup of teas and chit chats in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'd be like, oh, I haven't done any work. Just you admit it? Yeah, no, I can admit it. I've been away for a long time, but actually I'd always get it done. But I was then in a rush in the afternoon. But I work really well under pressure, so I deliver better then. And I think I've still got the same thing that if I haven't got a deadline or really in the flow in the moment. So I think for me that got the hiccups, excuse me. That's the best thing, is I can work in my own flow.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to even get to that. There's a book that kind of helps you pinpoint hours of the day, like don't do anything
that work for you.
Yeah. So
That's so true though, isn't it?
that concept, and it's game changing. Between 2 and 5, I get my best work done. Some days I work till 8, 9 o'clock at night, but I do it when I'm really feeling it, and then it's better work and quicker. And I do timer work and stuff as well. But yeah, for me, I think, to be honest, that's the biggest thing. I played tennis loads in the summer.
Are you good?
I mean, I'm all right. I am all right. I used to play tennis with my brother as a kid, and then I kind of got back into it maybe 2 years ago. So I just needed to get out of the house from being at home in the pandemic all the time. And I hit a little bit too hard. My coach would always tell me, he's like, okay, and they'd always go over the fence and the net the other side.
So the aggression coming out.
Yeah, I think because I spent years in the gym, like weight training, you just kind of, it's usually full pelt with something, but. Yeah, I mean, I can play, but it's fun. I don't compete. I'm not into, I don't need to do competition. Like, I don't have to. A lot of people thrive on that.
But you don't need that.
No, I don't. I'm just like, I'm cool doing my own thing, really. But yeah, I haven't played tennis for months. Just been so busy at work. But
it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the worst things about working for yourself? Or what are the hardest things about working for yourself?
Well, sometimes the inconsistent income, and if it drops, and you had like Airbnb had a really great summer, and then September we just went really, the whole market went quiet. So it's not just me. I now need to plan better for that for the next time. Whereas if you've got buy to let, it's more consistent coming in. Sometimes actually trying to go, right, what am I doing today? I know I've got it in my phone to do my weekly diary thing on a Sunday. It just gets ignored. Because then on a Monday I'll ask my intuition, and some days, like, I get a lot of migraines. I think it's the stress of sometimes doing business, but I've had migraines since I was a kid, so then it railroads my whole week, my whole day. And so I just don't be too flexible with myself, too strict with myself. But then maybe that could be a difficult thing, the transition for people going from one to the other. So at the minute, coaching, I'm doing like a mindset session on that, what you need to work for yourself. I would say, yeah, probably the income, until you get to a point, and this is where the multiple streams of income come in, 'cause some are digital marketing, ebooks and things like that. Even if you sell them for £7, that's still, that consistently coming in every week. You're like, oh, actually, and you create it once. So and probably trying to set all these things up. You have to wear every single hat, overwhelm occasionally. It doesn't happen very often, but because I was doing all the tech, I said, on the website, and learning funnels and marketing and emails. I know I can do it because of the background I've had, but yeah, actually implementing. I know enough to implement, but not to do it well. But I'm also good at knowing, just pay people to do stuff.
When you concede, can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I've done the first bit. So I think overwhelm for some people can be quite challenging, because you then have to be like finance.
Yeah,
you have to be, oh God, marketing. Which one am I doing today? And if you know you need to do content, I'm like, I'm really not feeling very good today. It's hard to then write content because you've got to be in the right vibe.
How do you keep your motivation? Because I think that's one of the biggest things as a business owner. There's nobody telling you what to do. You have to get up, get out and do it. Like, what gives you that motivation?
I actually don't think motivation is the thing people need. It's discipline.
Okay.
Yeah, I think discipline's the biggest thing, because you're not going to want to do it. And I've spent a lot of time resisting doing stuff, because this is where the energy healing came in, because I didn't feel like I was worthy of, earning that kind of income, even though I used to in contracting. And it's like, I don't know if everyone's ever felt it, but like you have a hand stopping you from doing and achieving, because it's fight or flight mode. Your body's keeping you, it's protecting you and keeping you
safe,
stuck but safe. And I'm like, enough is enough. So yeah, that'll be a challenge for most people. But I think just because of the work I've done, I'm now mentally in such a good place that I think I've naturally got the motivation now, because I've had to be more disciplined. Although summer, I spend far too much time in summer, enjoying summer, which is not a bad thing. That's the beauty of it, right? But now I've gone, now I want to deliver. But I probably wasn't the right person at that point in summer to deliver. Then I went on holiday to my mum's and had a proper break, because I went away to see them in April, and because I just launched an Airbnb, it was mental, which is why I've outsourced. So I couldn't switch off, and I was so drained. But then having a proper bit of time off, I'm such an advocate for, I don't work weekends. At Saturdays, do not contact me because you'll get nothing. I think you have to be disciplined in your own structure. And actually, you don't have to work all the hours under the sun to do it. There's people on, I see it on Facebook, and if you don't want it, if you don't work,
you don't hustle.
Hustle culture is so toxic. Because also, if you make yourself so poorly because you've been hustling, you've got no business. You can't just hand that business. When you do it on your own, I've got no one to hand it over to. I mean, I've got, it sounds a bit morbid, but in my will, I've got one of my friends she's in business. She knows stuff.
Yeah.
But then she's my only person. If I'm ill, it kind of all falls on me. So actually, why build a business? And I think you see it a lot more now, but you have to enjoy life at the same time. Otherwise, it's what is the point? Life is, someone said to me the other day, I said, life is short. They corrected me, which I laughed at because it's always the other way around. But they said, no, life is precious. That's how you need to say it, because it's a better way of, and I thought, yeah, actually. So enjoying it, not trying to work too hard. But it's still hard to spin all those plates and have fun and eat well. And, I smashed 3 packets of chocolate biscuits this week just because I could. But then I felt rubbish for it. But sometimes like discipline, but you have to allow yourself to, I think, the time off.
Yeah, it's freedom and flexibility, isn't it?
But a lot of people going from being employed, you're so structured, it's a really hard transition to go from that to that, which is also, that's kind of what I then coach as well. Like I said, I do it in the mindset stuff because it's bloody hard work. It's I don't know, so discipline, I'd say, but I'm not disciplined every day.
No,
because I'm human.
but disciplined enough to,
I'm going to fall off the wagon. But also I know my goals are big enough. I want a family, so I want to have time off, and I create all this income to then do that. So I am working hard at, I say hard, it's not hard as in hours per day and that kind of thing, but I'm moving my business along. I think it's about the language people talk and use. Like, you don't have to work hard, you just have to enjoy. Because actually I'm enjoying what I'm doing, so it's not hard as well. But yeah, discipline is, say we're trying to get the bikini body and all that stuff. It's discipline. It's not, motivation comes when you see results. But then I saw something on Instagram the other day, like discipline's like this, but motivation does that.
And you can't sustain motivation.
No,
you can sustain.
Because how can you sustain the motivation? Because you've got the big goals in the beginning. You think it's going to be easy to achieve. Then when it's not, you go, oh. So then your motivation drops. That's where your discipline kicks in. So I think it's the fundamental one.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. So would you ever go back into a permanent job? Or do you think you will be an entrepreneur, solopreneur for the rest of your life?
Oh, I think I'm unemployable.
Why do you think you're unemployable?
Oh, I just don't tolerate rubbish. Gonna say it. Much stronger word then. I have got to the point, my boundaries are quite firm now. I mean, I'd never say never, because what if something happens, like the Airbnb market is coming under legislation? What if it wipes everybody out? You've got to make money, and you have to live. So you kind of do what you need to survive, so to speak. I'd be quite specific in the job I would do. I mean, I'm still going back to probably do a contract next year. So and I like to keep my foot in the door, so to speak. So I don't know about permanent job, because I kind of like to get to the point when I get to somewhere it's 9 months, I'm like, oh, I'm so bored. But that's just now, I need newness. There's like different personality types. I'm one of those that needs I think that kind of lights me up more. So I don't know about a permanent job, but I'd probably do it, because I'd probably still leave the permanent job like every year. I'd still treat it like I was moving around. But I'd never say it's never, because I think that's silly. I just think I'm quite unemployable, because if I went to a permanent job, I just want to do admin. I don't want to do anything difficult, because it's more, I think it's almost like not my livelihood, whereas I get fulfillment in other things that I do. So it would be a hard transition And a lot of people, and this is no, how do I say it? Like, I'm in a really good place in my life, and I understand a lot of people aren't there, but I've kind of done this for myself. Most people aren't, so your energies then don't match, and I'm quite precious. I like, even with what I watch on the news, and sorry, I don't particularly watch the news, but what I watch on the TV, I'm careful with what I put in my mind. So I don't always think most businesses are probably the right place for me now. And it's not meaning to sound arrogant or anything, but I just want to stay on the level that I'm at. So I'd figure something else out, I would think.
I definitely get that from your story, your personality, that even if the legislation came in and Airbnb wasn't the right thing, I think you'd probably pivot. And
yeah, I mean, I want to build houses eventually, or I want to build maybe like an apart hotel, or like build service apartments. So I'd also like to do like cabin in the woods, build those, that kind of Airbnb on a plot. Because when I go to Airbnbs, that's the sort of thing, like real hideaway.
yeah.
So I want to build that. And that's why I badge everything under property, because I will do something, but there's so many different business models. People say strategy. It's not. It's a business model. The only one I don't want to do is HMOs or flat conversions. There's just too many rules and regulations that I don't want to get my head around. There is obviously in other things. But I don't know. They just don't light me up for, I don't know what reason. So I still always buy buy-to-lets. I'd have them because then it's your consistency and building something for my future family. And so I think there's always other things I could do. If I could go get a part-time job or something, I wouldn't class it as permanent. But yeah, I'm not unopen. You know what I should do? I went to Winter Wonderland at the weekend. My best friend's daughter, I had to we were teaching her how to skate. I'd probably go and work in Winter Wonderland ice skating rink for a while. And
just for winter.
She was trying. She was terrified. She's only 7 or 8. God, she won't hear this anyway. It's fine. I think she's 8. She was sort of at the front of the queue when we all went on and holding everyone up. So I was the person. Do you want to go round? Do you want me to hold your hand? And I was like, that I quite liked. If I could do something fun, I'd probably do that. Kind of.
When we spoke, you were talking about if you did go into something, you'd want to do something that just felt easy. So you're even talking about going and working maybe in a local supermarket. You'd rather do that rather than go into a permanent kind of corporate role.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, there's nothing against it. Maybe it's just because of the places that I've worked. Because when you then go into contracting, it's pretty much the same as it was at Thomas Cook's, and some were much worse, some were better. But yeah, I don't physically like the environment anymore. It's the buildings I don't like, the light, that, all those stuck to your desk for 8 hours a day. That's the stuff I don't like. It's not that I miss the relationships you build in offices. That's massive.
Yeah.
Which is why I said about, God, even going to get a part-time job to get you out of the house. Yeah. So I work in my friend's pub every now and again. I did it in my 20s and I kind of help out every now and again, but that gets me out of the house. So I guess in a way I've got a permanent part-time job. I do like shifts every now and again. I think I did like 4 or 5 last month and I loved it. So for me, that's like, there's no commitment to doing it apart from they're like, can you work this night? Yeah, wicked. I'll do one a month, or I did 3 in a week at one point. That was quite exhausting. But there's no commitment to it, which I quite like.
And I guess being a solopreneur and entrepreneur, like, it is lonely. So having that outlet to be around people and still socialise is probably quite important, so you don't become too insular in what you're doing.
Yeah, and I've just joined a business network, so it's on Zoom, so I'm expanding my network as well. We're doing like a challenge at the minute. God, my friend who's doing it, I met her through property actually. We did training at the same time. She's just phenomenal at coaching and mentoring. So I'm kind of learning her model. But actually the network she's then introduced me to, we're all in the same place. The vibe's good. And I think meeting people that way is really great. So then I used to go to the gym. I've cancelled it now because I'm just got so much on. But going out to the gym used to be my getting out of the house. Yeah, actually, even the environment of the gym, I hated. I started to not like it. I just didn't. My intuition was like, I need to go to a different gym. I haven't got half an hour to drive each way for a better environment. So it is hard, but then I've just got to make more of an effort because I'm such a social person until I'm like, need a break. That I then have to make sure I see my friends more. And if I'm in the house too long, I get in a real moody rut. I don't know how to describe it. I get in like a bit of I say dark place. It's not, but you know you need to go out and socialise, but you don't want to see anyone, and you get in a weird mood. So I have to, before I get to that point, so I just started doing Pilates, actually. My friend, only like twice a month. It's so hard. But then we do it. So then I get to see her doing that. I had my friend out for dinner last night. I'll work in the pub. So for me, it's more, and I don't think I'd do that if I was in an office again. Just goes back to the variety I need in my life.
That entirely. I feel exactly the same about variety. Okay, so finally, just want to ask, and anybody that's looking to make the leap, take the jump, what's the one bit of advice you would want to leave them with?
Oh, that's a really good question. Having faith in yourself doesn't come easy to a lot of people. It didn't for me. But knowing you want something different is your driver. So no one will ever be ready to do anything, because if we say, oh, the time's not right, the time is never right. But if you know you want something enough, and I wish I could have started all of this a lot earlier, so I'd sort of changed my life at 30. I wish I kind of went, oh, maybe 28, 29 would have been good. And, obviously the pandemic slowed it all down, but don't keep putting things off. If you want to do something, because your intuition will be telling you there's something more, there's something better, just do it. People could do podcasts, people could do writing books or anything. Who cares what anybody else thinks? I think I've got to a good point where I don't really care what someone may or may not think of me or anything. Yeah, and most of the time your family won't probably support you, and I hear this from other people. My parents are really supportive. They now say to me, now we understand why you were as you were as a child. My brother's so academic. He's 2 years older than me, so he did all the flashcards, he read encyclopedias. I was like, can I go make a mud pie? I wanted to play Barbies. I used to horse ride. I was outside. I didn't want to learn when I was a kid. I didn't want to do my times tables. I didn't want to do flashcards or anything. They were like, we've not got nothing as my parents, but they might have called me thick once or twice, or thought I was. That's their upbringing. That's their story. I've now learned, but that's stopped me for years. So you have to build a bit of a thick skin, I think, and realise most people are just projecting, so blocking other people off and just doing what you want to do. I guess do what makes you happy. Don't worry about anyone else. Is probably where that comes from, I guess. And then, you'll meet the right people along the way. I think everything's about timing. If your family don't support you, don't worry about it, because you'll meet... the amazing thing about online is you meet so many people that you never would have met before. And most of my friends live nowhere near me. Now, I'm on the phone to them a couple of times a week, and we all help each other through stuff. So you'll meet the right people when you need it. And but it is really scary. You can plan to a certain degree, but at some point you just have to go, I'm doing it, and try it. What's the worst that could happen? Your Instagram account might get taken down or something. I don't know. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. And actually most people fail more times than they succeed. I've walked away from 3 Airbnbs because they didn't work. So even in this model, I've now found a couple that, so my 3 now, because I just gave another one back, they work really well. So it's trial and error. If you look at the history of entrepreneurs and people working themselves, they failed so many times. What was it? The light bulb, wasn't it? His 1,001st attempt, the light bulb actually worked. So, it's not easy, but just keep going, I guess.
Thank you. You've been amazing, and I could talk to you all day. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Not a bad thing at all. No, honestly, thank you, because you've really been amazing. I think lots of useful insights for people who watch and listen. So thank you.